Good afternoon. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good evening to those in chat, because I'm aware that Annie's here from our urban homestead. So, yeah. And she's in the evening time, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's a hot mess right now, it looks like.
She is a hot mess right now. I kind of feel like a hot mess myself, but it's cool.
Well, yeah, but that's for a different reason.
It is a completely different reason. Hi, Elaine. How are you, darling? It's good to see you. 3 days in a row of 40 plus temps is getting very draining. I can imagine, my darling. That's why I used to do my housework in the evening. And my washing used to be done at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I did nothing during the day.
It is what it is.
Yeah. Hi, Helen. How are you, darling? Okay, so today we're doing our first of our series of the Road to Zero Waste. And today we're going to be talking about on-paper products.
Can I throw something in here?
Yes.
I want to be totally blatant and honest, full disclosure, transparency beyond transparency.
Yeah.
I'm new to this whole gig. Okay. And I'll explain why, because I'm sure others will be in the same boat.
Yeah.
I get zero waste. I get the words. I get what they mean. Okay. I didn't realize there was a whole literal movement of this type of stuff. And I was floored when I did my homework.
Yeah.
As to what it entails. So I'm encouraged to have this conversation because I want to learn more about it. So
yeah, well, zero waste is basically exactly what it says. It's bringing your waste that goes out to landfill down to zero as possible.
Right.
Okay. There are those that are a little bit bullshit about it, and it has to be zero waste. But there are those of us who are doing our best to cut things back as much as possible. And that's okay, because it is a road. It is a journey. You can't necessarily cut all of these things out all at once unless you have the money to do so. And if you have the money to do so, go ahead. But
happy for you.
For the rest of us, we have to take a journey. And it's a thing that we do bit by bit, little by little, as we can afford to do so.
Right.
Now, I have a downloadable for this, which is available to Patreons. And it is going to be a downloadable and notes that is available or will be available when I start doing face-to-face workshops. If anyone wants a copy of that, I will put it out on Etsy, but it will be charged.
Can I have a copy of that?
You have a copy of it.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. I'll shut up now.
Check your emails, Alma.
Alma has it already pulled up. I was just being myself.
So we're going to be focusing on two very specific products here today. One of them is paper kitchen towels and paper napkins. And we're going to be looking at the comparisons between them and also their reusable counterparts. Okay? And we're going to be looking on two levels. We're going to be looking at the waste. I'm really sorry, my voice is really awful today. But we're going to be looking at the waste aspect, but we're also going to be looking at the cost aspect as well, because they're both just as important, if not more so, because most of us here are doing the zero wasting to save money. It's not necessarily about, not putting as much in the bin or being a little bit more, easy on ourselves. What it is, it's about saving money at the end of the day.
I think it's twofold, and it really plays part and parcel to each other.
Yeah.
I think, there's what's going to save me money, but it also, there are some out there that are conscious about what they're putting into the ground. So or
okay,
whatever.
as well. And for most part, I am as well, because at the end of the day, I'm not always well enough to take the bin out. Tanny forgets because he works so many hours, so we can miss the bin, or I could injure myself taking the bin out. So the less that we have to put in the bin, the better it is at the end of the day, So yeah, it is what it is. Okay. But what we're going to have a look at first is we're going to have a look at kitchen towels. Okay. So yeah. Now, over here in the UK, there is a product called, let's just pull this up for a second. We're going to show these. Now, the reason that we're showing these first is because within the movement of zero waste, from a new business which has become a multi-billion-pound business and multi-million-dollar over in the States and the rest of the world, of making on-paper products. Now, I don't know about you, but the description on this is rather familiar. They're 100% cotton. 100% cotton and supplied in packs of 12. On-paper towels are the perfect alternative to disposable paper towels and paper napkins.
Okay. Can I say to you what I said when we first started talking about this? Is that okay to repeat that?
Absolutely.
What's the difference between this and me just having hand towels that I designate for this purpose only?
Absolutely nothing.
Okay, just wanted to ask. Sorry.
And that's the point.
I know.
Okay, this is the point. They're very pretty. They have lovely designs on the fabric. But at the end of the day, it is cotton. It is cotton that has had an overlocker around the outside. So it's not even done with a nice seam or anything like that. It's just overlocked. Yeah. Now, if you're looking at having a product that is going to work like a kitchen towel, paper kitchen towel, you might have an old towel already that you can't use for very much else. It's the kind of towel that we would probably use as a pet towel or, a dog towel or something like that. But you can cut it up into the kind of size pieces that you would want. It's going to be clean. It's just not really usable for much else, right? That's a freebie, number one. Number two, a lot of charity shops, secondhand shops and stuff like that throw away the towels that look like that. But if you talk to them and ask them, they'll give them to you because they just want to get rid of them.
Especially if it's a towel you're going to use for non-cleaning things. Here's what I mean. If you're using it so it'll be able to pick up oil or cooking oil or mud or whatever, that doesn't have to be particular because it's going to be used for that type of thing. So it can be theoretically anything on it is not going to hurt you. Okay.
Absolutely.
Now, if you're using it on your cleaning, like your counters or your dishes or something, yes, then obviously you want to make sure it didn't have anything on it. It shouldn't have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what I'm saying with these is that if you have old tea towels, you have old fabric of your own, old T-shirts, old towels, anything of that nature that is clean, but it's just not wearable or, you don't want it for good use anymore, or it's an old stained tea towel, why not use that? And if you're using kitchen towels for cleaning up messes, there's this amazing invention called a cloth. It's a cloth, people. At the end of the day, it is just a cloth.
So my looking at just the way you presented that, and I read what was in there, I can go to a certain blue box store here in the United States, spend $3 on 12 towels, and never have to buy another paper towel ever again.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Why would I spend $30 for the exact same thing?
Exactly.
I mean,
so it's ridiculous. And those ones, for the record, are only 12 inches by 10 inches.
Well, there's 12 inches. So that gives you an idea.
30 centimeters.
Yeah.
By about 20 centimeters, 22 centimeters.
And most of the dish towels over here are they're like 18 by 12 or something like that. So
yeah.
I'm sorry, for me specifically, and I'm sure Patty would agree with me sitting right behind me, that why would I spend the money like that when I can just go to X, Y, and Z and just buy hand towels?
So you're using what you already have, or you're buying out specific cloths, which are going to last you way longer in the long run. Hi, Heather. How are you, darling?
Hi, Heather.
Than spending $30 because it's pretty. Now, if you buy the fabric, because that's actually brushed cotton fabric as well, sometimes it's known as jersey, but jersey is a little bit more springy, but brushed cotton is kind of like the fluffy stuff that we have made out of PJs in the winter and stuff when we were kids. It is around £3.80 for 1 meter by 180 centimeters. So that's a yard by 6 foot. Okay. Out of that, you could make 24 of your own if you were a sewing person.
Right.
For £3.80.
So over here, sorry, just out of comparison, because me and Patty decided we want to move to the UK because your prices are better. Over here, you get a yard, and if I remember right, a yard is 3 feet.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It's about $10, but that's the jersey material.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look at the brushed cotton, because jersey's got a bit of stretch to it,
right,
and it probably wouldn't make a great cloth, but the brushed cotton is the stuff that they make kids' pajamas out of for winter.
Okay.
That's the stuff that doesn't stretch, but it's just cotton.
I'm still on the same thing though. I'll just go buy dish towels.
Yeah.
I'm not grasping the concept of
yeah.
This isn't really saving me money because I'm buying something I really don't need that I can just go buy for 1/10 of the price.
Absolutely. And if you buy dishcloths, and there are all sorts of different ones, and I will share this to you guys.
Hello, Claire.
Hi, Claire. How are you, darling?
She's on her phone.
Says, I save worn jeans. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Old pinking shears to cut up old towels, etc., to stop fraying. Exactly that.
Right.
And if you don't have an overlocker, you've only got a machine, like a sewing machine, and it does zigzag, and that's all you want to do because you don't want to sit there doing the hems.
Right.
You put a zigzag on it. Yeah. That's going to do it as well.
Smurf he said that he sent you an email regarding cloths.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll have a look. I will.
He didn't know if you could see it while you were streaming or not.
Yeah, I can see it, darling. There we go. So these are some different types of cloths. Okay. Now, each one of these is actually made to restaurant standard. Every single one of these is made to restaurant standard. These are your standard dishcloths. These are cleaning cloths. These are cellulose dishcloths.
Hold on. You're moving way faster than I am. We're okay. So I got the first two. What was the third one? Cellulose cloths?
One is cellulose, which is a wood pulp kind of stuff.
Okay. I was going to ask you what that was because I'd never heard of it in a material before. So
these are bamboo. And these are just another regular cleaning cloth, like dishcloth or whatever. But these are all made to restaurant standard. Now, what that means is you can use them up to 200 times before they will start to look really shoddy, if you're just using them for the purposes they're made for. Okay, so they should be able to be used and washed 200 times before they can't be used anymore.
Okay, take that down for a second because I want to make myself very clear when I say this.
Okay.
Again, a fraction of the cost. I would much rather buy those than I would the uncloth or whatever that's called.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't get the reason why. There's nothing intriguing me to go out and buy those other things that we first talked about at the price that they are for what they do and what they are. I don't get it.
I get it. You know, now anyone can walk into a catering supply store or contact a restaurant supply chain and order from them. You don't have to be a business. At least not ways in this country. You don't have to be a business. The same goes for in Australia. You don't have to be a business. You can be an individual person. They've opened their doors that way so that everyone can benefit.
Over here, theoretically, at least in my area, I'm not talking every area, but in my area, there are 2 restaurant outlet chains. I mean, the bigger ones. I'm sure there's other ones I don't even know about. URM, do you have to be a member or can you go into the store and use it?
Which store?
URM down on Trent.
You can go in.
You can go in. Okay, so Patty said one of them, you can just go in as anybody. You don't have to be a restaurant. There's another one you can use, but you get a discounted price if you have a wholesale or a resale certificate from the state.
Yeah.
But you still can go in and utilize the product or their service. So
Absolutely. So it makes a huge difference as well. But, you know, if you don't have access to those places, you can still pick them up in the supermarkets and they're just pretty much just as good.
There's also a ton of online restaurant supply places you can buy those products from. The only warning I would give you is be careful of what you're buying. Make sure it's the material you want and watch out for the shipping costs because sometimes it can increase what you're paying per towel. So just, but they're out there. The whole point is they're out there. So
yeah, absolutely. You know, I bought a little while ago, some of you who've been following the channel for a while will know that I think it was like 3 years ago, I spent £50 and I bought 5 different types of cloths. 3 years ago.
Okay.
And apart from a couple that got used to clean up some rather very messy stuff that are permanently stained, most of them look as good as the day we bought them.
Right.
You know, yes, they all have their own specific use. There's floor towels. There are glass ones. Glass ones get used for drying up glasses, polishing cutlery, that kind of thing.
Right.
We've got normal tea towels that just get laid out on our table when we want to drip dry a whole heap of pots. We just put them out to do that. Yeah. Or you've got your normal hand towel type tea towels, the gingham type ones, that we just do any minor drying up or dry our hands on and stuff like that.
Right.
You know, because it's all we need.
Right. Okay, I'm just going to jump out on the limb here and say it. Buying it because it's zero waste is you're buying the name behind it.
You're buying
buying
the
the
premise
theory,
behind it.
right?
Mm.
And not even to be mean to the brand, because the brand's not it's not the only one, and I'm sure they do
No.
a good product. I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, for the amount of money that you put out there, there's other options out there that I would look into before I would just go down this road.
Absolutely. Heather's just said, I'm getting some pinking shears today. I want to make some wax wrap for bread. Yes, we'll be getting to that on another week. Vet clinics can sometimes order for you. Yes, they can. And some restaurants, if you're on good terms with the owners, will actually do it for you as well. And they're actually a really good resource to have, because you may be able to get some other stuff from them as well. But be on good terms with the people who own your restaurants. I'm just saying.
Happy birthday, Elaine.
Hello, good happy birthday, darling. And he just said Bunnings, which is a big hardware store. Over here it would be B&Q. Sells bags of rags for a tenner.
She's asleep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you don't have that resource where you are, go and talk to a secondhand shop.
Mm-hmm.
If they've got clothes, if they've got linens, if they've got towels, anything like that that is not fit to sell, they usually send it off to be recycled. You could pick it up really cheaply, if anything,
Mm-hmm.
and make it into a bag of rags for yourself. It's not that difficult. Now, I understand that some people do want to have the actual product because they want to have that. It's almost like having vegan meats. It's having that product that is going to help you with the transition, because we get so used to using things in a certain way that we want to use something that looks similar or tastes similar in the other case, to do a transition. I get it. But for those of us who are trying to do this on a rainwater budget, they're not necessary.
I still think that's a wonderful name for a channel. I hate to tell you, but
what?
Making it work on a rainwater budget.
Well, that's what it is.
I know, but I think it's a good name.
Anyone's
That's all I say.
coming for you. I'm coming for you. Yeah, so Elaine says, today's my birthday. Happy birthday, darling. 6 years ago today, we started reducing our waste. Most of my storage containers now have glass. Yep. We use paper towels when working with food, then compost them. The trash is down 50%. Yeah, okay. So if you do have the option to compost, okay, it's a great thing. You can do it. And I'm not saying don't buy them. We have kitchen towel. We have paper kitchen towels.
Right.
Okay. We've also got the blue roll that they have in catering, because we picked some up 4 years ago.
Right.
Off Facebook Marketplace, because someone was selling them off cheap,
Right.
And they come in handy, let's be honest, if you got stuff to do on the car or whatever. But it also gave us that buffer zone of replacing the paper stuff for the cloth and reusables rather than having the throwaway. Okay, which brings me on to my next thing, or our next part, which is about paper napkins. Now, I'll admit this was a little bit shocking to me, because I am as guilty as anyone else. When it came to the kids' parties, it was white napkins, a couple of fancy ones, and paper plates, plastic cups. Chuck it all in a bin bag, get it gone, because kids are animals. Period. When you get sugar in those things, they go mental. They have no respect for anyone's property. They are not going to care about what your beautiful plates. They're not going to care about your linens. They don't care, and they're going to come up to you and go, I don't feel right all over your back steps. Okay? That's kids. We know it. We're not done. Okay? But I want to show you guys something because I did the numbers on this and it really shocked me. So let me just get down to it a second. So we're going to look at an average family, 2 adults, 2 kids. Okay? Now we're going to be really, really generous here. Hi, Nanny Tam. Sorry, didn't see you before. And say that everybody has a party for their birthday, right? They're also going to do Valentine's Day, Easter, Halloween, and 3 events over Christmas. That's a minimum of 10 events every year. And let's just say they do them for 25 years, okay? Because you've got your kids. As we know, kids are not moving out of home so soon, you know? So every event, they purchase the standard 100 pack of white paper napkins and 2 packs of 12s of the fancy themed ones.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, it's $2 for the white ones, 4 for the fancy ones. That's £10 every event just on paper napkins, okay? That's £100 a year on paper napkins, or over 25 years, that's £2,500. That builds up, man. Ain't $2,500. You can get yourself a car for that. You know,
it's a
pretty decent car for that. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Okay,
Yep.
So because we are looking at the zero waste impact of this, I want you guys to have a look at this. Okay, so 1 packet of 100 white napkins is around 780 grams. A pack of the 12 fancy napkins is around 100 grams. So that's around 1 kilo, 1 kilo, which is 2 pounds of refuse every event just from the paper napkins.
Right.
So every year, that's 18 pounds of refuse, or 9 kilos every year.
Well, let's be fair, actually, because when you do the kilos to the pounds, it's 2.2.
It is
so
2.2.
You're actually probably more at 20 pounds by the time that time has happened.
Exactly.
So,
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. Now, that is 1/4 of a ton of refuse.
Yep.
Over 25 years just on paper towels. And you kind of think about that and it's like, that's a lot of paper towels.
Yep.
You know? Let's have a look. And he says, I think a lot of people get caught up in wanting Pinterest-looking kitchen drawers. It's just not practical. And that's true.
And I do see that.
Absolutely true. She also says, I don't understand why some families in the US use paper plates for daily meals. A lot of YouTube channels I've watched use paper plates daily. I have noticed this.
We are guilty.
Okay.
As a guilty party, may I please enter a plea of defense?
A defense will be heard, yes.
When you have 8 to 10 to 15 to 20 people almost every other day, the dishes become overwhelming when you've already made a big meal.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, taking into consideration the information I just learned, there might be a different approach to it.
See, the other thing is as well, right? Okay, so that is one big argument is to do with the washing up. Now, if you've got 10, 20, 30 kids running rampant around your house, the last thing you want to do is to do the dishes after you've done all the food, all the cleaning, all of the, all of the stuff, right?
Right.
You know what? I bet you half those kids have brought their parents.
Mm-hmm.
People want to eat. Why can't they help clean up? You know what I mean?
Why do I feel like I'm sitting in the principal's office? I was coming here to help you with the live. I wasn't coming here to feel like I was sitting in the principal's office.
Well, I'm sorry, but facts hurt, man. Truth
Okay,
hurts.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, or at least get them to rinse their stuff.
Which that has improved greatly. So
Yeah.
okay.
And you're not
Thank
being
you,
judged,
Annette.
dude. No one's being judged. I'm just, showing a comparison here.
No, I get it. I get it. Especially after
Yeah.
you put it that way when you think of the tonnage.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Especially, and that's only a small family. You guys have a lot of people.
Right.
And when I had the kids and the kids were living at home, I had a lot of people.
Right.
We had 16 children living in our house, plus the adults, plus my 2 children.
You're starting to sound like Dark Lord Menet's house.
I kind of was like Dark Lord Menet's house, and on the weekend, those kids brought their friends.
Yep.
And those friends brought their parents.
Yep. That's the way it rolls.
I mean, on a weekend, it was nothing to have 40 people in our house for dinner on a Sunday.
Right.
40 people. It was nothing. It was great. We lived in Australia. I shoved them all underneath the house on the stilts. Put the food out on the things.
Yep.
Help yourself. Go at it. But, if you're going to use that, you're going to clean it up. And there was always a bowl on the side that had water in it that they could clean up they could rinse their plates and put it in another tub so it could be carried upstairs again. So half the work was done.
Right.
Because I used to spend a week getting those meals ready. On top of getting everybody else's daily meals ready and everything else that had to be done.
Yep.
Right. So the last thing you want to have to do is clean up after it too.
Oh, don't get all excited. You lose your voice when you get to that high pitch mode.
I know. So Nanny Tam says, it's a matter of convenience, and I was guilty for years. I don't anymore, but that's an expense thing. I get it. I totally get it. And it is a convenience thing. And we are all guilty of it. Let's be honest. I don't think there's a person among us who hasn't done it.
Right.
Claire says, I used to feel bad. I do buffets at Christmas and years ago. I put foil tray to put all the food on. I'm still using them, wash, dry, hide until December. No. See, now that I can get behind.
Yes, 100%.
That I can get behind. Because you know what? She's washing it out. She's reusing it. But I will absolutely guarantee you 98% of people will be chucking them straight in the bin.
Right.
Because they've done their cooking for Christmas. That's going in the bin and I'm done. I ain't doing no dishes.
Right.
And that's fair enough.
I will agree with Nanny Tam's next comment. At least now, to a point, they are biodegradable, assuming they don't have a wax coating over them and all that other stuff.
I'm presuming they're not in a black bin bag tied up.
Yes.
Because if they are, they're not biodegrading.
No.
They're not. And they won't.
Valid.
I mean, it might go a bit slushy in there, but that's about as good as it's going to get.
Oh, it's too early to talk like that.
Well, it's true. We have a deal. If they show up at mealtime, they have to wash dishes. That works.
There you go.
Right there. That.
See, I learn from everybody as well as they learn from me. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're going to look at the difference between those and the fabric alternatives. Okay. Now I know it takes washing, but you know what? The machine does it. I don't have to do the washing up. I don't have to do that. I just collect them all and stick them in the washing machine. It does the work. Right. I get to walk away. I'm not talking about when we used to live in log cabins with nothing on grid, and had to hand wash everything. We don't have to hand wash everything. And even if I did, I'd put them all in the bathtub, soak them overnight, and just rinse them off and stick them on the line because they will be done. There's not a lot that you have to do to that,
Yep. I agree.
Heather just said, we have a small bucket with a lid called Chum Bucket to scrap waste for compost. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that
there's a lot of people that don't have that, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. And if you're living in a tenement flats, you probably won't have that option, unfortunately.
or if you live in the town I live in, you're not allowed to have a compost unless it meets specific guidelines.
That's pure insanity.
Oh, it is. I'm not going to disagree with you.
Yeah.
Anyways, what I was going to say is, and I hope I'm not overstepping where you're going to go, because I know where you're going to go, but I just think the important thing is don't waste the money where it's not needed. Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, the trade-off to what you buy in paper products, I think, as well as other items, because there's foam out there, there's this, there's that, there's this, there's that. Okay. The point is that it's an investment. I would rather invest $20 into buying napkins napkins, towels, whatever it is, that I can reuse, and they'll get 200 uses out of it versus one-time use.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you've got something that's a one-time use, that's exactly what it says it is. It's a one-time use.
Right.
But if you've got something that you can reuse, even if you're using it 5 or 6 times before it's dead, you know, it can't be used anymore. You've still got 5 or 6 uses out of it.
Right.
It's
easy.
You know, easy.
Yeah.
So, Heather says, I would hand wash my milking clothes. Yeah. When my second son was born, we didn't have a washing machine for 6 months. And he was in cloth nappies.
Mm-hmm.
Everything had to be done by hand. Everything got done by hand.
Mm-hmm.
I washed those nappies myself by hand. I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had them soaking in the bath overnight. I would rinse them off afterwards, after they'd been in their nappy bucket, and then they'd go in this. I had, you know, the big fermenting homebrew buckets.
Yes.
That was my nappy bucket. And everything went in there.
Right.
Everything went in there. And it had some nappy soak and the water. And if it needed topping up with water, it got more water, it got more soap. It just went that way. As I was going to bed, I would tip all of that water out and put them into soak in the bathtub after the kids had had their bath in clean water. Then the next morning, I would pull it all out, rinse it all off, and it goes straight on the line. No scrubbing. There was no major scrubbing needed. There was no major work needed. Everything got soaked out of them in less than 24 hours.
Right.
And we were ready to go for the next day. So it's not like it took a lot of work on my part. It just took different habits.
Well, and I think that, I mean, in the end of it, that's what all of this is. Let's be honest. It's changing habits we're used to.
And that's the thing. It's changing your mindset, changing the habits that you get into and stuff.
Right.
Heather says, yeah, for around $20, you could get maybe 3-pack roll paper towels and last not too long. Yeah. The only time that I will go out of my way to buy paper towel is Christmas. And it's the only time I do it. But I've still got 3/4 of the one we bought last year. Well, the year before last, wasn't it? For this year.
Makes sense.
We've had one that's lasted us whatever, but we only use it in cases where it's just easier that way right now.
Right.
And eventually when we get to the point where we're so used to swapping it out for the cloth ones, we probably still will have that kitchen roll for the next 2-3 years. But it's getting used to a new way of doing things. It's getting used to doing that, and that's okay.
Right.
You know, Nanny Tam says they were a little shocked the first time I laid down the rules, but it's free food. How hungry are you? It's not a problem now. See? Yeah, I get it. Right, so we're going to have a look back at our unpaper products thingy, and we're going to look at the cost of products of cost of fabrics if you were to make your own napkins. All right. Now, in general, linen, which is made of flax, not cotton, it's flax, is sold by the meter, which is around a yard, and is generally 180 centimeters wide, which is 6 foot. And that will cost between $8.99 and $14.99, depending on the quality, design, and the place of purchase. Cottons are sold in the same way and range in cost from 99p for calico or £20 for batiks. And there's all sorts of different costs in between. You can choose what you want. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, batik, I wouldn't have batik as a linen, to be fair, because I know what it takes to make batik. I'd be very upset if someone used one of my batik things to put on the table and wipe their face with. I would be very, very upset by that.
How long was that batik we did at the college, wasn't it? 8 feet wide by 100 feet.
We did, when we were in college, we were part of a group, and it was after 9/11 happened, and it was a sympathy card, we'll say, to people in New York, and our college group did a batik that was 8 feet wide by 150 feet long.
Wow.
That was a process.
It is a process.
It is.
It absolutely is a process.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the average large dinner napkin is 48 centimeters by 48 centimeters, which is 12, just over 1.5 feet. It's nearly 1.75 feet across. Okay. Which means out of that fabric, if you just got a meter, you would have 8 napkins. And they're the very large dinner ones. Okay. For a lunch-size napkin, which is about 1 foot square, you can make 10. And the cocktail ones that you use for your fancy-smancy little nibbly bits and pieces,
Oh, to hold your martini.
Yes, to hold your martini, darling, with your little, vol-au-vent. You can make 20. You can get 14 of them because they're about 25 centimeters, which is 10 inches, 8 to 10 inches. So you're getting quite a lot, and if you wanted to buy the cheapest fabric you can, which is calico, it does work. It's not fancy,
right,
by any means, but it's hard wearing. But you can get it does depends on what fabric you want to use for them. Okay, so the pre-made ones, packs of 12 restaurant-grade linen dinner-sized napkins are around £39.58. Now, they're restaurant-grade. They are made to be boil-washed within an inch of their life. Steamed, steam-pressed, and have that happen every single day. Every single day for their entire lifetime, which is supposed to be about 5 to 10 years. You're not going to do that.
How do you know I'm not going to do that?
Well, I know that the home washing machine does not go as hard as a Commercial washing machines for this job go up to about, I think it's something like, go almost up to 90 degrees Celsius. They don't do that for household washing machines. They only go up to 80. Yeah.
Continue.
So, if you did decide that you were going to invest in some, you know that they're going to last you a lifetime.
Right.
For that money. And that is 4 months worth of buying the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
By the end of the year, you could end up with a really good collection of napkins for the same price that you've been paying.
I think the trade-off, though, too, is like you were saying with the original ones we first looked at. Those are intended to have 200 uses. Mm-hmm. Okay. These you're talking about will get probably 10 times as much use.
Oh, you could probably hand them down to your grandchildren.
But that's my point. I see, because I would see where the question, well, you told me not to spend $30 on those other ones. What's the difference here? You're getting a lifetime of use out of these versus just a couple years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the cloth you're going to use 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. The napkin you're going to use once. It might clean up a spill. It might clean up some crumbs on the edge of your face. And most people, unless the napkin is absolutely horrific, will probably fold it up and use it for the next meal without a problem.
Right.
Obviously for events, you're going to want to put them all in the wash because you don't know who's been doing what to them. So you're going to put them all in the wash anyway, but for general use, you're not going to want to use really, really expensive ones anyway. So you can pick up packs of 4 for like $5.99.
Right.
For general use ones. The lunchtime ones, they're pack of 10 for $15.99. That again, that's restaurant grade linens or cotton. Some of them are as little as 99p each. That's not a lot of money in the grand scheme of things, having something that you're going to have forever. What you have to remember as well, though, is you might want different coloured ones, but the white ones are cheaper.
Right.
The white ones are always going to be cheaper. The white ones were on average around £1 to £2 cheaper a pack
than the coloured ones. Yeah.
It doesn't cost that much to get your own dye.
Agreed.
It doesn't cost you that much to get your own dye. And if you're a very crafty person who's able to make their own dyes out of the stuff you have in your garden, then it's going to cost you even less again.
Yeah.
And the cocktail size ones are about £10 for 4. Now, that's because they're usually a handmade or specialty item. It is very, very difficult to find linen cocktail napkins that are not handmade or specialty made, so they are a bit more expensive. I would suggest making your own or whatever, or not worrying about it too much. Okay, so the differences in prices really do tend to be the difference in fabrics, companies, branding, etc. But if you think about it, for the money you spend in a year, you can have 100+ napkins. Over 3 years, you could have more than you'd ever use in a lifetime. And they would be all sorts of different colors, flavors, whatever you want, sizes, the lot, So it's like, well, what are we doing? Okay. So yes, it does take a little bit more washing. Okay, so you've got to bend one more time to stick it in the washing machine.
Mm-hmm.
Or just pick the basket up and stick it up the top. Tip it in like I do.
I get it.
And yeah, okay, so you might have to hang them out rather than put them in the dryer. But, if you have one washing machine, a washing line over your veg, I know this sounds weird, but if you have a washing line that is going over your veg plot, if you have a veg plot, the birds will bugger off and leave your stuff alone.
Yeah.
You will not have a problem with the birds. Why? Because they've got a load of flapping things at them. They don't want a load of flapping things coming at them.
Nope.
And he says, I'm going to keep an eye out at the thrift stores for any fabric serviettes. Really great idea. And Heather says, estate sales, garage, or thrift stores, you can find linen tablecloths you could convert to napkins. Absolutely, you can.
Right.
Absolutely, you can. Nanny Tam says, I'm so frugal, I cut up old towels into napkin-sized squares. Lots of uses, napkins, washcloths, cleaning rags, etc. Absolutely right. And he also says, if you find plain white napkins in a thrift store, you can do some embroidery on them to pretty them up. Absolutely. Yeah, and it is. It's the flapper, says Heather. It is. That's exactly it. I mean, my grandmother had a washing line that went straight over her veg garden.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just 2 poles in the ground and a rope and a prop.
And a rope. Yep.
It was just a prop, which was like a forked branch that went and held the rope up. But it was all held over the top of her washing line, and that's where she put the smaller washing.
Right.
Not things like sheets and things, because that would have killed all of her veg, but the smaller stuff, absolutely. Straight over the veg, because it kept the animals out. They didn't want to be there. Even the rabbits stayed away.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a funny video. It would be a funny video. Actually, our washing line out the back goes straight over our veg. And
does
through
it?
our, yeah. Yeah, it does.
I have 2 things to bring up before you end. That has to do with zero waste, but I don't know if you're there yet or not.
No, we're there.
Okay. So when I was looking into all of this before we started, I found 2 websites. Okay.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a matter of finding websites. It was just I wanted to see locally how into zero waste my area is. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
There's a website called Litterless. Do you know what they do?
What?
I'm going to read you what they do.
Okay.
Finding stores where you're able to purchase food and household staples without any packaging at all.
That's pretty cool.
You have to provide the container or the package it will be picked up in.
Yep.
So it's kind of like a bulk purchase place. But in the theory of think about how the mercantile used to be back in the day, where you would go into a 50-gallon drum and get the flour and the sugar from there, and there was so much less waste back then because you reused the same container every time.
Well, you look at the very, very famous case of the flour company that started making its flour bags out of nice fabrics because they found out that during the Depression, mothers were making clothing for their children with them.
Right.
So they started making the flour sacks out of cotton fabrics. And the stamp on them was washable.
Yep.
So no one would know.
No. So here's the other one I have, which is the closest, largest city to where we live. Mm-hmm. They have a place called the Spokane Refillery. Do you know what it is?
What?
It's a woman-owned refill station for all of your home care products, your cleaners, your soaps, your detergents. You bring you purchase one item from them. Yeah. That then is the container you take down and they refill it at that station with the same product you purchase every time.
That's brilliant.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Over here, we now have a couple of supermarkets where you can actually take in your own containers to the butchery department.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So, but they are a bit pusher. They got a bit more money behind them. They do cost a bit more, but you can take in your own containers. So you're not taking plastic containers out.
Right.
Okay. Sainsbury's does it. And I believe Waitrose is now doing it. And they are the two of the most expensive supermarkets. But they're willing to do that because they know that that's what people are starting to look for.
Right.
You know? So you take in your containers, and all they'll do is they'll put the price sticker on the top of your container.
And that works.
Yeah.
But I think, this last one I talked about, I think, going on with what the statements.
Yeah.
They're to help the community reduce its plastic footprint. That's what we're really talking about in the end of it. Okay. Yeah. As well as saving money. I mean, we know that.
Mm-hmm.
But they strive to carry the most natural products that are not harmful to you, animals, the environment, or our waterways.
See that right there.
That's why I wanted to make the point of getting that out, because I think that's important.
Yeah, it's absolutely very important. And it is one thing that we'll look into over the next few months is the different types of businesses and stuff that are available out there and what they do and the kinds of containers you can take to them.
Right.
I mean, there's also takeaways, fast food restaurants that are now saying, bring in your own containers.
Right.
We will fill them for you.
One of my weird, crazy indulgences is to watch street food vendors all over the world and see how they make things, how they go about their process.
Mm.
And it just amazes me the amount of plastic product that are used at almost every single one of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it was like the woman that I saw the other day she made a reel type short. And she was saying how, vegetables and fruit come in plastic, our meat comes in plastic, our drinks come in plastic, our milk that used to be in glass bottles now comes in plastic. Everything comes in plastic, and yet we're now being told that the plastic bag we carry at home in is the problem.
Yes. Here in Washington, they imposed a no grocery bag law, plastic grocery bag. Okay.
Yeah.
And I kept saying to myself, it seems really minute of a problem in comparison to the meat container, the vegetable container, the water bottles, the laundry detergents, the dish soap. Everything we get is in plastic. Why is this bag the problem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is the bag the problem?
Right.
That we carry at home in. I mean, it is one part of the problem.
One. But
removing one use of single-use plastics in takeaways,
right,
and restaurants, they're not allowed to use them anymore. So you've got a lot more cardboard and paper straws. We've gone back to paper straws, which is awesome. I mean, like I have a metal straw that I have sitting on my desk most times. It's not here right now, but I'm not using it. So I swapped over all my plastic straws and things to metal ones probably about 6 years ago. That was my first step,
right,
of reversing, because we'd been there and then we got the money behind us that we could do the things and be a little bit more wasteful, and then we're going back again.
Right.
So, it's
which I never really understood the transition, in all honesty. What was wrong with the cardboard compared to the plastic?
Well, yeah, and what's wrong with the paper bags that we used to have to carry our groceries in?
Right. Anyway.
Nanny Tam says here, my aunt had an old general store in the early 60s, and I can remember she had an actual cracker barrel.
Mm-hmm.
A wooden keg full of crackers. FYI, stalest crackers I've ever eaten, all paper bags.
That's funny.
Yeah. And Heather says plastic cutting boards, that's something. It is.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have to say, as someone who was a chef, who had it beaten into them about cross-contamination to the point of, I am now too scared to use the wrong board.
Right. I will say one thing I've been impressed with is I seen a cutting board system that has a pig on it, a cow on it, a vegetable on it, and a fruit on it. And I thought, that's smart.
Well, see, if you're not a chef, you don't know the other colors. That's the issue. You don't know the colors. So, you know, but the colors are, in general, the green is for fresh fruit and vegetables. The white is for bakery products. The yellow is for poultry. The red is for raw meat. And the brown is for cooked meat. And that's how they generally work.
I learned something.
There's a purple one as well that's been brought into the mix that is supposed to be free from. So no dairy, no wheat. It's an allergy-friendly board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, and the blue one's for fish.
I was going to say, where's the fish? We haven't said fish at all.
Yeah, the blue one's for the fish. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But that is, in general, what the colors are. And they can be quite expensive to buy those boards all at once. I have 2 of them at this point. I'm still winding my way up to getting the others. Yeah, and there's someone growling beside me because he knows. He knows. Don't you, honey?
Hi, Tanny.
What's the white one for?
It's for bread. It's for bread and dairy.
All right, so next time you use it for something else, I can tell you off.
Next time you use it for something else, I can batter you with it.
The thing is about it, I don't use it because I don't cook.
You do use it. I've seen you use it. I wasn't asleep. I wasn't. Play your game. Sorry, guys. So anyway, we've gone through and we've had a look at both the papers and the fabric options.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
I think you might want to wind this down because I can tell you're starting to.
I'm trying to wind it down now.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
So we've gone through the paper and the fabric options. We're not trying to judge anyone for using the paper, but if you're trying to save money and save it long term, you're better off trying to make the investment into reusable products.
Right.
It might be simple to have them
inexpensive reusable products.
Inexpensive reusable product, but they are an investment.
Yes.
Because they're going to last longer than one use. Anything that's worth having is an investment. And they are an investment. They're an investment into your family, into your home, into your quality of life, and into your future.
Yep.
You know? I mean, I would prefer to spend that $2,500 on something else, to be honest. To be fair. Can you imagine if you save that tenner every month after you bought your fabric ones? Imagine if you saved that $10 every month.
That's $120 a year going to something else.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. You know, it could just be going into the savings account. It could just be doing that.
Yes.
I mean, I think it'd be a really good experiment if at some point when we start doing all of this stuff and replacing things, and once they've all been done, the money that we normally spend each month on these things that we normally would buy, we put it away in a savings account and see what we've got left at the end of the month or the end of the year. How much money we've actually saved on doing zero waste stuff. I think it'd be really interesting to have a look at that.
I think people would be shocked.
I think they would be very shocked. I really do think that they would be shocked. Yeah. Okay, guys, but we are going to go Next week, we're going to be looking at meal planning. I have a new video that will be coming out on Tuesday. And it is for grown-ups. Because I haven't done a recipe for grown-ups for a while. So this one is for the grown-ups. Yeah. So, you know, I will be with Tony tomorrow. Well, tonight for you guys in the States, tomorrow morning for me at 4 o'clock in the morning.
8 p.m. East Pacific Standard Time, 11 Eastern.
There you go. Over on his channel, where we're going to be talking to...
I was thinking about maybe seeing if Heather wanted to come up and just chitty chat with us tonight, but we'll find out.
You never know. We don't know what's going on, in other words.
As of right now, we don't know, but something is going on. We just don't know.
Something will happen. We'll just figure it out as we go along.
Yeah.
All right, guys. You have a really, really awesome rest of your day, and I will see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye.